Hey Zaina, thank you everyone for joining. I think because of the invite change or updates, there was some issue, but I'm very happy to have Tony here. So I would say that let's still go ahead and do the lead generation AI agent that Zaina is going to like code today. And of course, for rest of the people who were unable to join, apologies for the invite confusion, but you will get the recording and it's the same drill. So you can go through the recording and ask us questions if you have any later. So Zainab, why don't you get started?
Thank you so much, Sonam. And hello, everyone. Again, we're very sorry about this whole mix up that happened. So I'm Zaina. I'm a software engineering intern at Explain. Um, Today, I'm going to be sharing with you an agent that you can make through our platform. And the idea of this agent is basically I'm trying to show you how to use the custom code tool, which is a tool that you can make through our platform. And it's a very helpful tool. I'm going to show it specifically using the Product Hunt, which is an online platform where you could just look at all kinds of new products, technology, AI, and so on. And there are posts, upvotes, feedback, and so on. And using the API queries, we're going to be able to reach, let's say, top posts, for example. And then with also the web scraper tool that you can access on our platform, you can have a full agent that kind of is able to access that information and put it together with other information from the websites and give you a very informed output. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. If at any point I lag because my Wi-Fi might not be good, Sonam, please just let me know, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. So getting started, of course, we're going to have to set our API key. So just quickly, how you can reach your API key through your so as you can see here, you can see your name and then the team in your Explain account. You can go to team settings and integrations. And then from there, you either have your API keys or you can create one. And then give it a name and use it. So I already have one right here that I'm going to be using, and we're setting it. So right now, also need to get the dependencies. So of course, we're installing Explain, and these are going to be specific for the custom code tool that we're going to be using. So first of all, we're going to need the utility model input and the utility tool from utility model, as well as the data type, which is going to be important for the code tool. And then just for the agent, you're going to need the agent factory and the model factory so you can use this in the agent. So let's start by actually writing the code that we want the agent to use to actually get the output. So you're going to define a function, and in that function, you're going to the agent is going to give it input and kind of run this function internally and give you the output from the specific API that you requested. So to do that, we need to use a decorator over here that's called utility tool. And this kind of just helps the agent to understand what this function does and what the inputs are that need it. So it tells it that this is a callable API tool. So here what we're doing is we're giving it a name, a description, and as well as the inputs. So for the inputs, I'm keeping it very simple here just for the sake of explanation. We are only going to have the token, the topic name, and the limit. So the token is the token that you can actually get from Product Hunt. And this basically helps you access whatever posts are accessible to your specific token, as well as the topic name. So if we want AI, if we want finance, and so on. And then the limit is what is the number of results that you want to be able to fetch before you kind of cut it off. Now we define the actual function. First of all, we have to say and by the way, I do have to set a disclaimer. This is doable with any kind of available API. And it's very similar. Each API usually will have its own specificities in the terms of like how you set the query and so on. And that is always going to be available or in a documentation from so for GraphQL,
Your voice
sorry,
voice
for
broke a little
Product Hunt,
bit,
it's going to
Zaina.
be this way, but it differs from. Sorry, where did I? Okay, let me turn my camera off. Maybe it would be a bit better.
Okay.
Okay, is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay. So again, we're defining here the function, and this is doable for any kind of available API. This specific query is going to be for only the Product Hunt API. So here you define the URL, and this is where you want the endpoint where you want to get the information from. And you set your headers with any kind of token. This is usually where you set the token that is going to need to be sent to that endpoint to get the information that you need. Now, in this case, I'm only going to be specifically getting the posts query, but you can have multiple different queries within the same function. And then based on the input or what the user has asked, it can actually return to you, for example, a different query about trending topics or about something else. But for this case, I'm only going to be doing it for posts. So again, we're defining the query over here, and this is very specific to whichever platform you're using, specific to their API. But in this case, this is how they set it in their documentation. We're going to have the limit over here and the topic name. And then we just kind of define this query and we post it. Now, once we get the result of that, we can return it. And if there is any error that happens, we can return an exception. So now that we have our function, we get to actually make the utility. So we're giving it a name and a description, and then the code value should be set as main, which is the name of the function that we defined the code in. So now that we have that, we can actually use the agent factory to create a model from this utility. And the model over here is going to be, of course, the ID that you get from this utility. And you're going to as well set a description. So now that we have the tool and it's fully ready, we can start defining our agent. So using the agent factory, we're going to create our agent, set a name for it and a description. Now the instructions is usually the part where you have to kind of tweak so you can get it to work exactly how you want it to. So that's why it might be a bit longer, but you're kind of just, leading the agent and telling it which way it should go, what are the steps that it should take, what are some things that it should avoid, and so on. So in this case, I kind of just, first of all, I wanted to make sure that the name of the topic doesn't cause a problem, because in this case you need to have a specific sort of format for the name so the tool doesn't break. And you can specify this inside of the function, as well as just telling your agent to make sure that it is in that specific format, which is what I chose to do in this case. So I'm telling it that if you're getting artificial intelligence, then turn it into this format so that the tool can actually be able to use it. Again, any other important things that you need to tell your
Hey, Zaina,
and
we
any
can't hear
details in this
anything.
case, the token should always be required. The topic name, okay, let me change my Wi-Fi 1 second.
Sorry.
Okay, is this better?
Yes.
Very sorry about that. The Wi-Fi has been very
Yes.
spotty for the past couple of days.
No
Okay,
worries.
so I think we got to
You were starting to explain like the task details.
all
Maybe
right,
just start
awesome.
from there.
Okay, so again, the task details here should tell the agent what it should be passing to the function. So in this case, we're telling it the token, the topic name, and the limit. And this is also going to be deductible from also this decorator that we used here, but it's always good to just kind of reiterate things if just to not run into any issues. And so also if you want to set any default numbers here, you can do it. So in this case, I'm saying that if the limit isn't specified in the user's query, then set it to 5. As well as, for example, saying that the token should always be required because the tool won't be able to run without your token. And the topic name is just something that can be deducted from the query that the user asks. So this isn't really something that is going to be required or that the agent has to ask about again. Now, something important as well is that you can do this through just the instructions, or you can as well use our expected output parameter when creating the agent or when executing the agent. And in this case, the output style that I chose was just to not have it, as a JSON. I just wanted some text and maybe include some emojis to make it a bit more readable. And I added something really important here is just that any extra information needed must be scraped by the scraper tool. So it kind of just doesn't hallucinate any information on its own. Now here's where we define our tools. We set our utility that we want, as well as this is the scraper tool. And this is kind of just something that helps it in the description, just helping it to be able to extract information from wherever it needs. And then we set our LLM ID. So the LLM ID, we can get it again through our platform, through the platform. Let's just Okay, so if I go to Discover here, and then I just go to models, I can see all of the models that are available to me. In this case, I chose GPT 4.0. And so you just kind of copy the ID through there, and then you paste that here. So now that our agent is created, we can run it. And I have a couple of test queries just to show you how it works and what's happening. So the first query that I'm providing is find the top AI startup on Product Hunt this month and scrape its website for recent funding announcements. My token is, and then I have to provide my token here so it can use it to get um, so it can use it basically in the code tool to fetch the information that I need. So what's happening here is it's doing exactly what's asked. It found that the top AI startup is Rustic AI, and it went to the website, scraped it, and found no funding details for this specific case. Just to make sure that everything was gotten from the right sources, you can check the intermediate steps. In this case, you can see that the first step did indeed use the product hunt utility, which is basically the custom code tool that we defined, as well as the Pro AI Scrape website tool, which is our web scraper. And you can see that it can read the whole entire website, and in the end, it'll just give you the specific output that you asked for in the format that you asked for. Another
Uh, what is it that you said after another?
Sorry, yeah. So here's another thing that we can try, which is get the latest productivity startups on Product Hunt and scrape their pricing pages for information on payments. And again, I'm giving my token right here just so it can actually go and be able to fetch that information. So it now looked at the trending productivity startups and it gave me some of them and it told me about, for example, this one doesn't actually need a subscription. There's a 40% discount and any other information that it found on the website. And then one last thing that we can try here is find top developer tools startup on Product Hunt and scrape their websites for integrations that they support. And again, most importantly, I'm providing my token ID here. By the way, if you don't provide something that the tool finds necessary, it will tell you to that it needs that information, and then you can run again with that information that it needs, and you won't face any problems. So in this case, it's saying, okay, this is what I found, and it's telling you exactly what integrations it supports and what's coming soon and so on, exactly depending on your query and what your instructions to the agent were. Um, I think that's it. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. Um, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Zaina. I have a quick question. Do you think getting the Product Hunt API was an issue, or was it simple, like create an account and get an API key kind of thing?
So for Product Hunt, actually, it was very simple. This is why I chose it because if anyone wanted to try it, it would be very easy to get. You don't actually
Okay.
need to pay any money, or you need to,
Mm.
I think you just need to make an account and then you'll be able to just get an API key. For other
Hmm.
platforms, though, this isn't the same. For other platforms, it might
Exactly.
cost money to get an API key, depending on permissions, depending
Hmm.
on who you are as a user. That could
Hmm.
depend on what kind of API key you get and what kind of permissions you have. But what is really good about this is that even if it does cost something, most platforms that offer an API service have some kind of documentation that shows you exactly how to use their API service. So it's very easy
Hmm.
to kind of just take that code and give it to your main method, and then provide
Hmm.
that as the custom code tool.
Got it. And like what kind of, I guess I was trying to ask like what other like details do we get once we get the API? Like do we get like the whole database, like fields such as name of the company and then how big they are or what product they launch, those kind of things. But like what's the metadata that we get? But it's
So
fine, I think.
yeah, this
Right?
is a good question, but it depends on, again, the query that you used for the endpoint.
Hmm.
So in this specific case, the only query that I used was just something that gets the posts. So this is the only
Okay.
thing that I had available. It told me about the posts, the post itself, the comments, the content, the
Mhm.
likes, the upvotes, whatever. But if you were to use another query, you would be able to get any kind of information that is available through their API.
Got it. And one more question before I open it to everyone else. What are the like I know we built this agent for lead generation. Like how else do you think who would this agent be most useful for? Will it be more for salespeople or anybody just working in that domain?
This could be really for anyone. I mean, the scope of Product Hunt itself is a very big scope for any kinds of
Hmm.
developers, anyone that's just interested in product development. There are so many different things that you can look for on Product Hunt.
Hmm.
So I think that if you want to get information about generally, let's say, any kind of product, what the community thinks about it, and then go after you get that information from Product Hunt, you want to go find more information about specifically from their website, this could be useful for you. So I think that anyone that uses Product Hunt could definitely make use of this agent.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions on this call? Any ideas that might have inspired? Yes, Tony.
When you were talking about the rules, is that your prompt you're writing? It was all in orange.
Sorry?
All the stuff you had in red or orange. You said your rules. Is that really your prompt you're giving to
Yeah,
the
that yeah. So that prompt is basically just the instructions, you mean?
yeah, that's your prompt, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you were
So
talking about
we have the query, which kind of changes when you execute it. So when you say agent.run, and then that's the query that you run with it. In the instructions, you provide basically just the prompt that's always going to happen, what's going to be given to the LLM before it sees what the query is.
okay. So you just tweak the prompt until you get the results you're looking for.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Tony. Anything
Thank you.
else? Any other questions? Okay. If not, well, thank you so much, Zaina, for walking us through that agent, and thanks, Tony, for engaging with us. We will send the recording to all the registered attendees after the call, so look out for an email. And once again, the next event is going to be next week on August 6th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And that's when we are going to have our colleague Pedro, who's going to walk us through the Agent Builder, which is a no-code, low-code macOS app where you can just drag and drop and build an agent using natural language interaction. So looking forward to the next session and thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Zaina.